Sup peeps, my name's Ian. I sell books on eBay and Vinted, and I've got a few orders to share with you today. I've got another couple I still need to go and pick, so I'll be going to grab them shortly and I'll show you them when I come back, rather than waiting till tomorrow, because that way I can get them in the post today, which is kind of ideal, isn't it? We want to keep things moving. It's been a bit of a warning so far, but that's a whole other story. For now, we just want to talk about books, don't we? So I will show you the two orders we've had from Vinted today. Not as many as there has been the last few days, but still, orders on order. Not going to complain. And first, for £1.73, Crime and Punishment, Dostoevsky. Yeah, Penguin Classics edition. These always sell somewhere, but I thought I'd try them on Vinted for a change. And yeah, £1.70-ish something coming my way in a few weeks once it's all done and dusted. So that's the first for Vinted. The second for £7.40. It's a wee bundle of 4 books, 4 hardcovers. The sun is so bright today I cannot see the screen, so I don't know if I'm actually showing you these or not, but I will try very hard. We've got that one, which is The Darkest Sin by D.V. Bishop. Nice book. It looks like a Ambrose Perry, a Douglas Skelton, one of those. We also have some Karen Slaughter, False Witness. These are all hardcovers, obviously. Linda LaPlante, which is, that one's Good Friday. Yep. And James Patterson, Step on a Crack, another hardcover. So let's say the 4 of them, £7.40. And that's the Vinted sales. So not an awful lot today, but you know, quite happy as long as things keep selling. I am delighted. Next, we have some eBay. So I don't have these stacked up in the right order as usual, but you know, who cares? We'll work through it. That be for sure. The first lot is 5 Andy McNabb books, and they sold for £14.64. And it's these 5. So I don't sell many of these, but they do sell. I've got a multi-listing for them in eBay, which makes it easier. But we've got Brute Force, Recoil, Liberation Day, which is his new bestseller apparently. What is it? An explosive Liam Scott thriller. What does that say? The New Enemy. And an airport exclusive, 7 Troop. So that's a lot of those for £14, whatever it was I said they sold for. Which, again, is okay. Is my camera getting a little bit drunk here? It seems to be getting a little bit drunk. There. At least it's level. Anyway, let's move on. Let's just ignore these technical glitches and keep cracking on with what we're here to talk about. We have 2 going to the same buyer, Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. We've got S.A. Cosby's Blacktop Wasteland and Razorblade Tears. Cosby, yes, that's the right one. Obviously, they're all wrapped up, but yeah, you feel it's definitely 2 paperback books in there. So S.A. Cosby, I've been really enjoying him lately. £7.99 for the 2 of those. And The Odyssey of Homer, a wee proper vintage American edition. Earmont Books. So yeah, nice clean copy from John Menzies, 50p. That tells you how old this is. Where are we? 1965. That's the copyright note on it. So yeah, a real book, and that was £15.99. So there's a bit of a discount in there somewhere for Jenny because she bought 2. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it is in there. And next we've got a first edition Patrick O'Brien from 1993, The Wine Dark Sea. Oh, that there again. Quite good condition. It is an ex-library book, but there's not that much on the inside. Library booking it. So, yeah. Do The Wine Dark Sea for £12.99. And then we have, keeps closing itself down. We've got The Eagle and the Bear, A New History of Roman Scotland by John H. Reed. There you go. A good looking book. And again went for £12.99. So average sale value is up at the moment, which ain't a bad thing. And finally for eBay we've got The Witches of Scotland, and that went for £8.99. Dream Dancers, Akashic Chronicles Book 1 by Stephen Aitchison. Okay, never heard of it, but it looked a bit different, so I picked it up. I'm guessing it's like an Amazon book. Yeah, it is. So yeah, £8.99, and that's it. That's all the orders we've got at the moment. I am going to go and pick up, I think I've got another couple to go and grab. So I'll get them, come back, show you what they are, get everything off to the Royal Mail or the Every or the Yodel or wherever the heck it's got to go today. And that's it. It's a quiet Friday, which is never good. Well, quiet from that point of view. I do still have an awful lot I want to get listed over onto Vinted, so I'm just going to keep cracking on with that. Going and going and going until they're all done. And we'll see where it gets us. Anyway, that's all for now. I shall see you in a little while. Round 2, back again. Yes, so I had a couple of orders to go and pick. And I also, as I was doing that, I realised I posted a book without showing you guys. And it's one of you that's bought it. So I'm going to save that for tomorrow. I'll cut in a picture of it, get the details up, and shout my thanks at that point. So, you know, if you have bought a book from me in the last day or so, you'll need to watch tomorrow to hear my gratitude. But yeah, I'd kept it aside to make sure that I gave it a mention, and then completely slipped my mind and went on with other things. And it's only now, as I was thinking about, right, I need to go through my messages and see if there's anything I need to reply to here and now, that it just went, oh, dude, sci-fi, bester. So there you go. You know who you are, but I shall catch up with that tomorrow. So apologies to anyone. Right, the two that we had to get dealt with now is Scotland Painted by Sutton Palmer, described by A.R. Hope Moncrieff, from 1922. It's heading to Martin, who I believe has bought a couple of books from me. Or maybe this is the couple list of the books. But it's a beautiful book. 1922, so that's like 10 years older than my dad would have been this year. Man, that's crazy. But it is a lovely book. You know, it's nice when you get something that's got a bit of effort on every board. You can see that it had 32 colour plates and $44 is the last time it sold for anything. I didn't sell it for that. I went a lot lower because I thought this book has to get back out there. It's just beautiful. Beneath the Crags of Benvenue. I mean, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? This is what Scotland looked like 100 years ago, if you want to put it that way. Second edition. So it's the first edition of the second edition. Let's find some lovely pictures. Oh, I also quite liked looking at the old map. It's strange the places that it highlights as significant places 100 years ago compared to now. Not a huge difference, but definitely enough to make you go, you know, across the Central Belt in particular. There's some places that didn't even exist 100 years ago. But yes, it's really is beautiful condition. You've got yourself an absolute cracker here for £11, whatever it was it sold for. What have we got? That's just a house. I'm not interested in just a house. We're in the borders. The borders are a bit boring, let's be honest. Landscape-wise, compared, that's unfair. I really like the borders. But compared to the rest of the country, so there's Melrose in Roxburghshire, which I don't think it's called anymore because it's the borders. Lothian and Borders. And let's see, right, we're into Aldrichy. So there's Edinburgh, 100 plus years ago. Of course, there's lots of pictures of Edinburgh from that time. It's not something new. Right, where are we going? Where are we going? Linlithgow Palace, the Palace of Linlithgow. Right, so we're heading up the Trossachs now. Oh, the Bash Rock on a tranquil evening. I'm probably not holding these anywhere near long enough for it to even try and focus on, but they're beautiful pictures, they really are. What else have we got? Oh, I'm not going to show them all. You know, if you want to see all these pictures, you should have bought the book, man. You know what I'm saying? Oh, gorgeous. Aberdeen Awa. Oh, there we go, Balmoral. So, pre-Lizzie. Know what I'm saying? Yes, so Scotland, painted by Sutton Palmer, described by A.R. Hope Moncrief, is heading out for, now that I'm looking at it again, a ridiculously low £11.69. But I say, it's got to keep these books out there. The second order is Circe, Cirque, Cirque, Kurke, I'm going with Kurke by Madeline Miller. And Kurke sold for a whopping £5.99. I've got a couple of copies of this. I've got one on eBay and one on Vinted. And Kurke sold on eBay first. So that's a new thing lately. But that's it. I have had another couple of orders come in, but I'd need to go and pick them to show you them. And I'm not going back out again to pick even more books. I need to get more listing done. I have just listed up, I think, about 40 books on Vinted. 40, 50 books. I keep meaning to check and see how many I'm listing and then kind of forget to count them. I just list for... So it's like 3 piles on my desk here, right? Sorry, that's a lie. I have 3 piles here in front of the laptop. And I go through them all and I put in title, author, format for each of the listings, you know, category, etc., etc. So that all that needs to be completed is photos and scan in the ISBN number. So then as I type them in, they get stacked here in order, right? And then once that's all done, I can then picture them and it's just again working, it'll be working in reverse order. So the one that's front of my profile in draft is always going to be the one that's next all the way down. So then I just scan them across and then they go into a bag to go to storage from there. So 3 piles about yay high, because that's how much of a gap I've got between my desk and the keyboard of my laptop, which is, if it's hardcovers, like 10. If it's paperbacks, it could be 15, 20. So 40 to 50 books typically at a time doing that. And that's taken me about an hour now. So that's all right. It's not super light speed, but it's all right. I know I go on a lot about, but I aim to make £1 a book. Keep in mind, that's my minimum that I want to make. I don't want to list anything that I'm going to make less than £1 a book. There's a few exceptions to that where it's just super easy to get them listed. So some of the big bundles, the Andy McNabb one that I showed you earlier on is a good example. 15 quid, £3-4 in fees, £7 in postage. So I'm making a bit less than £1 a book on those. But that comes from a variation listing. If I've got 10 Andy McNabb books to list, it takes me literally 2 minutes. I spend more time waiting for the page to load up than I actually do updating the listing. But it's as simple as that. So some of that stuff I don't mind if I make a bit less, because that side of it is so quick. The packaging takes the same time as it ever would. You know, they go into the post office, takes the same time as it ever would. But that initial listing can be really, really quick. So there's some where I don't mind making a little bit less. But for the most part, £1 is where I'm looking at the minimum. If I'm only going to make 50 pence on an individual listing, then it becomes a lot less worth it, which is kind of where I'm heading to with the likes of that one there. What did I say that sold for? Was it $5.99 or $4.99? I think I said $5.99, didn't I? Let's just double check that so I'm not talking complete and utter mince. Yeah, $5.99. So if that sold for $5.99, I don't think it went promoted. I'm getting £4.90 back, and it's going to cost me £3.50 to post it and pack it. So I'm making £1.40. So that's actually a bad example. I thought it would maybe been a $4.99 book. But if something sells for $4.99, then it's down sub £1 for a single listing. Not really worth it. And that's where that whole £1 a book comes into. That's the kind of minimum I want to make. But on eBay, that means selling stuff for £5. And to be honest, I still make £1 at £5 because of VAT. I don't pay VAT in my postage, etc. Or I get a rebate on it, however you want to look at it. But that's really the minimum place I want to be to justify any amount of effort. But it is the minimum. A lot of stuff I sell, I make quite a bit more than £1 a book. But I just always have that in my head. There's my baseline. So, for example, the 40 odd books that I just listed on Vinted, there was a couple that I listed for just £1, but probably half of them would have been for £2 or more, and the rest would have been like £1.50, £1.25. So even on there, that 40 books, it's going to be maybe £60, £70 worth of listing value added on, which isn't a huge amount, but for an hour's effort, that's great. If that all sold straight away, then it would take me another hour to get it all packed up, maybe a wee bit longer. So you'd be looking at £70 for a couple of hours work, which is all right. You know, you're not going to knock that in any way whatsoever. So that's kind of the trick. I do, when I'm doing my listing previously, before I started on the whole Vinted escapade, I always tried to do £100 to £150 worth of listings an hour, rather than like I'm going to do 10 items or I'm going to do 20 items or anything like that. It's like, right, what value can I get listed in that time? Because then that lets me know what's going to be worth it. And I assume that however long something takes me to list, it's going to take me twice as long again to fully process, put away, pick when it sells, get it packed and get it shipped out. Vinted processing time is a bit different. It's probably closer, a kind of 2-to-1 ratio. So however long I spend listing, I'll spend the same amount of time processing beyond that. So the picking, the packing and doing all these other bits and pieces. That'll change the more books I've got on it, because then there's more processing required to keep things organised. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes I just think I'm talking utter pish, but hey. So yeah, really I want to be looking at getting that £75 to £80 an hour listed if I'm doing Vinted, to make sure that it's going to be sustainable and worth my while. If it does take an hour to list, it will take me another hour to get all of that processed and dealt with. And that's maybe being a wee bit optimistic if I'm being perfectly honest, but we'll see how it pans out. So I'm just about hitting that target there. What will happen with the Vinted listings, the same that happened with the eBay listings, is I'll have times where everything I'm listing is worth a little bit more, and I'll have times where I'm listing where everything's worth a little bit less. If I was to spend an hour doing £1 books, I'd maybe get 50 of them done. It's only £50. If I spend an hour doing £2 books, it's 100. So it should kind of balance out. And there's a couple of wee sets that always get popped in there as well. So for example, today I had a nice, fairly clean set of the Hunger Games trilogy, the black covers. So I popped them up, which is more than £1 a book. I had, the hiccups try to come in there, a set of Womble's books, Elizabeth Beresford. So 3 of those. So again, that's much quicker to do because it's just one listing I need to create, and then it's a couple of extra pictures, but nothing that takes any real significant time. So with those things, that will improve timekeeping on Vinted as well and make it more efficient and more effective. And I also need to get a better seat because I'm just constantly slouching on this little stool. It's a stool the boy used for like playing his guitar, and I've just pinched it because it fits in the wee tiny gap I've got between all the books I've got flapping about everywhere, but only just, so it is not particularly comfortable. Yeah, know what I'm saying? Yes, but now I'm going to list. I've got another little stack of 3 ready to be moved in front of the laptop to be listed, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 IKEA bags full of books that have come back from storage, and I'm going to get listed after that. Almost a full bag is my stack of 3 books. Just try to give you kind of a perspective about what these things take, and I can get 4 bags just about onto one shelf in my storage unit, and I've got like 16 shelving units. So just, it's going to take me a wee while to get all of the Vinted stuff, everything moved over onto Vinted that I want to get moved over. And it's a big job. It's looking at it this way and seeing how slowly the Vinted stock quantity seems to creep up makes me realise how much I have been doing over the last year or so, and it has just been those incremental increases. If I sell 10 a day, I'll be listing 15, that type of ratio, just to keep things mounting up and mounting up. On Vinted, I've got about 500 listed now, and I've sold nearly 250. So, I've listed well over 700 items, but there's not that many in the shop because thankfully they've been selling, which is a good thing. It's not a complaint, but it means that I know how much I need to keep adding in to keep it growing the store and seeing where that kind of saturation point kicks in. So, yes, we've got that to deal with. Lots of listing, lots and lots and lots of listing. And tonight, this evening, Friday night, this is how you spend Friday nights, folks, I need to build a website for my cleaning company. I've not done much with that business for a wee while. I've got a couple of regular jobs that I go to. It's really people that I just go and help out a little bit. But I've not been pushing for the bigger jobs that I would usually take on, like recovery cleaning. That's how I call it. So, after the builders have been working, end of tenancy type cleaning, where you're going in and you're absolutely scouring the place from top to bottom, every surface, every cupboard, every pane of glass, getting all of that done. But I had a wee job today. Somebody had got in touch. It was a last minute thing they were looking for, where they've been doing a roof for someone, and the attic just needed cleared. Not like clearing out all their stuff, it was just covered in plaster, dust, various other lumps of this and that, so it just needed kind of cleared out and gutted. So a couple of hours work, nothing significant. But the reason that popped into my head actually was something else that I'll try and remember and tell you in a second. But I was doing that again, and as usual it's like, what's your website address? I need to go and leave your reviews. And I used to have a website and it wasn't getting any use, so I'd shut it down. So I'm going to go in and just rebuild that. Very, very basic. Maybe think up a new kind of business facing name, a trading as name, and maybe try and pick up a couple of jobs a week doing that. Just with the cash situation the way it is, there needs to be something else coming into the business. And to be honest, it pays rather well, all things considered. So yes, that's what I'll be doing this evening after I've finished listing all of these books and packing up those last couple of orders. But the house I was working in today, an older couple, and I believe the good lady of the house, she worked in a library for a number of years and then did something else to do with books. Not entirely sure what, but it was something to do with books. And when I was clearing out the loft, there was just there was a box of like old paperbacks and stuff that I think she wanted to chuck out, and they were due to be chucked out. But there was one book, and it was just like why is this in your loft? This cannot be in your loft. You have to take this downstairs, keep it nice and fresh instead of up here in the cold and the damp. From 1850, which is old, not like ancient, but it's old. The Imperial edition of the works of William Shakespeare, Volume 2. She didn't have Volume 1 there. I'm hoping they've got it somewhere. And it's just a beautiful big sorry, was it half bound? It was half bound. Quarter bound. It was only quarter bound. Yeah, spine and corners. Beautiful quarter bound book. So leather, cloth, leather in the corners. Gilt edging around the book block and the pages. The stitching and everything was still looking really, really, really good condition. The interior of the book, no foxing, no yellowing. I mean, gilt and leather does an awful lot for protecting a book, especially when it's like real gold gilt and not just like fake foil. But absolutely gorgeous book. I mean, it's not particularly valuable, and maybe that would have been their only concern. I don't know, their kids would be chasing it, but I think there's 2 volumes in the set typically, and if you've got Volume 1 and Volume 2, they could sell from like £300 up. Depends on the particular edition. This was a fairly plain edition, but an older one. You see quite a few of these kicking about, and there'll be ones that were probably like privately commissioned, the bindings on them, so they're much more flamboyant. This was a much plainer binding, still really, really beautiful, don't get me wrong, and it would have been a very expensive item back in its day. Now, like I say, if you've got both volumes, £300 plus, depending on specific condition and the rest of it, on its own, maybe £50, maybe £150, who knows. So it's not like a ridiculously valuable book, but I said to the lady, I said, please don't leave this in your loft. Look, I don't even know if you know this was there, and I don't think she did know that it was there. She knew she'd owned it at some point, but she didn't know where it was. So we dug that out from underneath the dust and the debris, and hopefully it's finding a nice home on her shelves with the rest of her books, and that she finds Volume 1 and has that lovely, lovely set. Yeah, that was that little story. So, yeah, but it's always interesting when you go into these things. They also had a box, and it must be the kids. I'm assuming they've got children that are about my age, there or thereabouts, and they've got the original Commodore 64. So the computer, a monitor screen that goes with it instead of using the telly, the tape deck, the box that it all came in, Commodore 64, I mean this is 80s stuff, and 3 boxes of games. And I mean, I had a Commodore for a wee while. I think it was one that had only 3.2k of memory rather than the whole 64k of memory that the 64 had. But we got there eventually. Just like all these old games, man. It was just like total nostalgia. That was fun. Everything from The Hobbit all the way through to Football Manager from way back in the day where it was just a text. Oh, it was great. So I probably took a good half hour longer than I should have, just having a nosy at that stuff and having a chat with him about it all. But I don't charge by the hour. I charge by the job. So that's all right. I still got the job done. So yes, I'll be building the website to sort that out, and they've got a lovely the works of William Shakespeare Volume 2 from I think around 1850, the Imperial edition. It was nice, and a big box of Commodore 64 stuff, which to be honest, if I was in a different place right now, I might have said, do you want to sell it? And tried to shift it on, but it's not like the Shakespeare. For what it is, it's not massively valuable. It's just a curiosity, a nostalgic curiosity. Anyway, I've just been flapping on and on and on and on about that, which really is no use whatsoever. I'm procrastinating. Let's be honest, that's what I'm doing. I really don't want to get on with more work right now. I want to just stop and have a break for 20 minutes, which I think I'll probably do anyway. I'm going to make a proper strong coffee, have a wee biscuit with it, and then crack on with everything else that needs done and try and get some success over the weekend one way or another. But yesterday was another particularly slow day across everything. So luckily that wee job today will dig us out of a hole ever so slightly. But get the website up and try and pick up another couple more jobs like that. I've got a new phone number I want to use on it as well. Yeah. because the other one's just getting spammed with all your sales calls. So I need to stick a new number on it that'll be a bit fresh, and it'll take them a few weeks to catch up with their spammy bits. Yeah, that's it. Nothing more to say, other than, God, I've got too many books. Alright, as ever, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me for however long you've been sat there now listening to this nonsense. I will be back tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow, because tomorrow will be day 30-something else. Today's the 7th, isn't it? So that's day 38. So tomorrow will be day 39. Day 39. We are more than 10% of the way through 2025. Wow, we're at 2025.1. There's a thought in it. It flies. Right, thanks again, guys. I shall see you tomorrow. Oh, I don't have creak.